Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 2027 Infiniti QX65. And although it does share components with other Infiniti products, I'm assured that this is actually something kind of unique and special. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Infiniti's heritage, because it did start out back in 1989 with two vehicles. And at the time, neither were SUVs. They were sedans, basically. And yeah, it was kind of with a various level of success. Not exactly the big hit that other automakers at the time like Lexus and even Acura were. However, they kept at it. And then around 2003, they came out with the FX, which was a massive hit for them. That vehicle was a SUV, a crossover, and it was sporty. They had a V6 and they had a V8, and they were rear drive bias, and they were monsters. And they did very well for the company. And it brought them into that whole SUV realm. But since then, it's kind of been a little bit less popular and powerful with that. But now we have this. And the big deal here is that rear design. You see, this is a different design, and you can especially see that in the back. And the back of the vehicle is where they said, no, we're not going to make another QX60. We're making the QX65, which is the sportier, more manly version of this, because we hacked the back of it, which, by the way, other automakers have done before, and it's been popular. It is a popular look. As a matter of fact, the question is, and I think we're going to have an answer by the end of this video, is Infiniti now in the school of the cool kids? Front-end design is the first thing you're going to notice when you see the differences between this vehicle and its cousin, the QX60, and that is because this grille design here is unique. In fact, they have two different grille designs available on different trims. This is supposed to be like a bamboo forest. Okay, and then you have this split headlight design. Now this is far more noticeable because this is your daytime running light, and this is actually your headlight. So the entire front clip is unique to this vehicle. So what you're looking at on the side leading up here is all QX60. However, things start changing progressively right about here. And this is where the big design change is. And that's because they did make it more of what I like to call a fastback design. But here's the interesting point of it. And remember, I was mentioning the FX vehicles of the past because it sort of pays homage to it going back here. But what they did was kind of interesting. Now, first of all, your head, and you're going to see the headroom in the back in a minute, your head still sits relatively high. If you look, it does still have almost the same angle as the QX60. The slope really doesn't start until about back here. However, because of this chrome line, they're dropping it down and making it look even more aggressive in terms of the rear design, and that comes down to this point here. And then the biggest difference really is back here, and you can clearly see how they hacked the back of this and brought it down to a very unique, and I think actually the sexiest part of this, the rear taillight design. I think this is a beautiful looking rear design, but this is what makes it different. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering, yes, they do have a windshield wiper, and it's tucked way up in there for aero. 3 different trims are available, which is great because it keeps it simple. This is the Autograph, the top of the line. They start with Luxe, and then they go to Sport, and then once again Autograph. And if you get the Autograph, you get the 21-inch wheels. Now you get 20s on the other two models. However, you can't spec up to 21-inch wheels. Alrighty, now let's have a look here, because this is something newish, and this is a 268 horsepower 4-cylinder engine that puts out 286 foot-pounds of torque. It's hooked up to a 9-speed automatic transmission, not a CVT. That's a big deal. And it's turbocharged, and it's a variable compression engine. Nissan/Infiniti, they've been working on this engine for a while, and it gives you good economy and good power. And we played with various versions of this, and they've been fairly impressive. But having it hooked up to a 9-speed automatic transmission, very happy about that. So we don't have the economy numbers on this yet, but they should be pretty decent for a vehicle in this class. If you get the tow package, as you can see here, then you're going to be able to tow up to 6,000 pounds, which in this class is actually pretty good. However, if you do not get the tow package, then this whole area here is covered by a piece of plastic. Let's open this up, and you're going to notice that there is a little bit less cargo space than its cousin, the QX60, because of the way the rear is designed. However, you still don't really pay much of a penalty because it's just under 36 cubic feet of cargo space. Now, I'm going to take these two puppies out here, and I'm going to show you right down here, you do have even more space, quite a bit, which is nice. But on top of that, you're able to control those seats with this. I'm going to just pull this out and show you now. You see that? These are going to be able to drop those seats, and you're going to get maximum cargo space. You get just under 68 cubic feet of cargo space when I push these buttons. Now, I have to warn you, I call these buttons the samurai chopping buttons. This is a Japanese vehicle, and I hit the button and wham! I mean, it's almost violent. It goes down so hard, but it is a fairly flat loading floor, and once again, just under 68 cubic feet of cargo space. And yeah, it drops hard. Now, those seats actually do more than just fold forward, and I'm going to show you that in a minute after we have a look at the front seats. All right, let's step into the cousin of the QX60, and I say that because they share many of the same components. However, this has its own unique interior design, and it is beautiful. This may be the highlight, for me at least, in terms of this vehicle. It's just gorgeous. They did a fabulous job. Now, bear in mind, this is the very top of the range. As such, it has all of the goodies, and that's including the Klipsch 20-speaker, 1,200 watts stereo system. Can't demonstrate that on camera because, well, copyright issues. But you also have these two 12.3-inch screens. And here's something I really like. A lot of people have been kind of lazy with their interior design, so they basically would have one iPad and another iPad next to each other, connected to each other, and that's it. That's your design. And honestly, I got sick of that almost immediately. And so I really like the fact that they have a proper binnacle here where you have your instrumentation. And then this screen here, well, it of course has everything in it, so Google and everything else all integrated into this system. This is great. This is what you need to have in order to be competitive. But there's more, because you have this, and this is something I don't love, and I don't know about you guys, but here's the thing. These are haptic buttons, so you do have feedback on them. When I'm hitting them, I'm actually, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm feeling a little click under my finger. Click, 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 click. That's great. But in order to find these buttons as I'm driving, I still have to look, because you see, you're not feeling anything. That's, to me, a bit of an issue. This is basically all projected. If I shut this off, you wouldn't see any of this script. But you do have proper dials over here. That is awesome. That's including a proper volume control. Thank you for that. Especially when you have 1,200 watts, you want to be able to crank it. That's awesome. And then down here, once again, another thing I'm very happy about, which they don't do on the QX80, they actually have a gear lever. And this is just fine. I'm completely fine with this, because you shift it down to drive, push to park. Simple. There's a thumb thing here you have to activate as well in order to go into drive. Then you have your driving mode over here, which allows you to, if you look over here, you have sport, tow, off-road, snow, eco, auto. Actually, there's quite a few settings that you can play with. That's impressive. And yes, it comes standard with all-wheel drive. You have your start-stop button over here, and then you have your auto stop-start here, so you can kill it, which is nice because a lot of people really are sick of it. Parking brake here, auto hold, and then this feeds directly to the screen here, so you're able to click through it. But the screen itself is, I believe, also a touch screen. Yes, it is. But being able to use this and then go into your camera system, you can bang around with that and play with it. And bear in mind that Infiniti was one of the first manufacturers here in the United States, at least, to have the bird's eye view. So it's really cool to see them continue it and have it. It's a much cleaner image, actually, that they have there. So you have all that. Now let's quickly talk about storage, because boop, boop, you got this right here. Which is actually a decent amount of room, plus you have this little nifty thing to hold a card. Cup holders here, and then you have Nissan/Infiniti's new charging section here for wireless charging. This is elevated, and according to them, that allows you to set your phone there but let it breathe a little bit so it doesn't overheat as easily. That's interesting. Finally, glove compartment here. Ooh, it's got like a felt lining to it, which is quite nice. And this is great because you would think they might go for plastic. Nope. They've lined it with soft touch materials, and then you have this leather seating. They do have some non-leather options on their lower level models, but I gotta tell you, the seats and their zero gravity foam, it's pretty damn good. All right, so let's hop in the back. Now, I have already adjusted the front seat. I am 6'1"-ish, and so I'm kind of tall, and so this seat is adjusted to fit me, meaning that I'm sitting behind myself right now, and I'm able to take my feet, these are size 13s, and I'm able to shove them actually pretty deep under the front seat in front of me. So between that and the fact that I have gobs of legroom at this setting, well, that's a good start. Headroom is also pretty good. Here's the trick. You see, this used to be, this is based on its cousin, the QX60, which has a third row, meaning that those seats had to move forward and back and everything else in order to let somebody into the back. So why get rid of that when you can have full adjustment, giving you more luggage space? And actually, even though I'm all the way forward, I still have a little tiny bit of room. Wow, that's actually kind of impressive. Which allows, for more flexibility. So you're able to do that. And then, in addition, you can lean the seats back a bit. Now there's luggage behind me. Let me pull forward here and show you a little bit more. There we go. This is how Andre would do it, because Andre likes to be an OG when he hangs out in the back of vehicles. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool. I like being able to do that. And these seats are equally comfortable. Really well done. So headroom and legroom, really good. Shoulder room, yeah, I'd say 2 adults are fine back here. 3 children, no big deal. 3 adults across, yeah, I think it'd be a little bit on the tight side. And then we have this. So we have a little cell phone holder, and then you have 2 spots here for your cups. But there's more, because down there we have 2 USB-Cs, and then this is where your vent controls would be, and your heating and air conditioning controls. And then you're asking yourself, wait a minute, I don't see any vents here. What's going on? Look above my head. Boop, boop. This is where your vent is. I don't mind this, by the way. I do prefer it being closer to my head than my kneecaps when I'm in a vehicle in terms of cooling. This is a faster way to do it, and frankly a better way to do it. And then of course you have your panoramic sunroof here, and remember I was talking about on the outside how the exterior design kind of tricks you and makes it look like you're losing your headroom back here? Well, you're really not, because it's very similar to the way that the QX60 is set up. You don't really have that drop off until a little bit further back, so you don't really lose much headroom, which is a big deal, because there have been other vehicles like this that have absolutely murdered headroom. So that's impressive. You are going to see the 2027 Infiniti QX65 in dealerships as of the summer of 2026. That means that it's not very far from now before you get one of these, or can get one of these. Now bear in mind that we don't have exact pricing yet or EPN numbers. However, they've told us that this vehicle should start around the mid $50,000 mark. Now here's the important part about that. Even at the base model, you're still getting the all-wheel drive and the regular powertrain with this. So all of that comes standard. It's just a question of getting the really nice interior and cool stereo system and all the other goodies where you move up. But another important point, in the mid $50,000 zone, if you look at the competitors, many of them are far more expensive than this vehicle. So this could be the value leader. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.